All right, so really, this is going to be a special episode for me because I have an old friend on the show, and we're going to talk. You know, I was raised by three sisters and a mom, wonderful dad too, so he was there too. But the big influence came from the ladies in our family, and I was the baby, so I got all those wonderful riches. Um, but we have a special guest today, and she's amazing, and she's taken incredible heights as a human being, as a female. She's done things in this country and in the world that is amazing. I guess they say shattering through glass ceilings, but it's pretty cool all that she's accomplished. And you know, it's like when she was a young child, she was just raised to be this human being she's become and this amazing person and what she's done in her career. It's exciting. So I can't wait for you to meet her, and we're going to talk a little bit about her journey and where she is today. And one of the neat things is, y'all know I rescue dogs, and she's a big dog advocate. So we're going to get into some puppy love and do some fun things. But Bonnie-Jill Laflin is on the show.
Thanks for having me on, Tommy. It's nice when you get to talk to a friend, you know? So
No,
makes
it is so much fun.
and especially some of the layers you didn't even know about my career. So that's pretty neat.
Well, we spent so much time in California, and when you have your own careers and you're going and knocking things out, in our industry, in the entertainment business, it's just always a battle.
Oh, yeah.
And
Always.
in to talk about that. So, when did you first, before you even decided to be in the entertainment industry? I know your mom and had some influence. How old were you when you first did your first appearance on something?
My first modeling campaign, I was 2.5 years old.
Oh, my
A
gosh.
Gap campaign. And it was with my mother, actually. My mom was a model as well. And that's when I kind of got thrown into it. So people say, when did you start? I'm like, literally out of the womb. 2 years, and there I was. And then started doing pageants and then dance. And so that was, my mother really influenced me in that. Also, she's the one who got me into like rescuing dogs at a small age. And then my father, I was a tomboy. So, playing softball, running track, playing basketball, and then my horses. So I kind of had that split personality, Tommy, where I had the, I guess you'd say my feminine side and then like my masculine side.
Yeah, and I want to talk about your pop and what he did.
Mm-hmm.
We see the influence your mom had. I kind of all of a sudden reflect back to Brooke Shields,
Yeah.
a
Right.
young baby all of a sudden
Right.
thrown into the
Industry.
industry. You almost didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
But it's important to love what you do. Let's talk about your pop, because we know about the feminine side.
Right.
And you were a cheerleader for how many pro teams?
So the Golden State Warriors, then the San Francisco 49ers, and the Dallas Cowboys. And during the heydays, when the NFC Championship game, Tommy, was the Super Bowl. So
Yes.
And my daddy being a season ticket holder for the Niners, he wasn't thrilled when I went to the Cowboys because he felt like I was going to enemy territory,
I mean,
right?
seriously, that was
So
enemy territory.
yeah, so he was like, "What are you doing?" But for me, it was about my career, and if you want to cheer professionally, dance professionally, the Dallas Cowboys, America's sweethearts, it was the way to go at that time.
All right, so, and I'm going to go back to
Yeah.
that, because I do want to talk about the Warriors and cheering for them
Yeah.
first, because that's a fascinating story.
Yeah.
But I want to know about the influence your pop had, because what did he do for a career?
Yes, so he
Can you talk about that?
Oh yeah, so he's retired now. So 47 years undercover narcotics for SFPD,
Oh,
and
my
he also
gosh.
did a lot of security work with the Giants, with the Niners, with the Lakers. So he
Wow.
had that big influence. He was a season ticket holder for those teams as well. So
He was a tough dude.
yes.
When you get to that level,
Absolutely. A lot of people are threatened by my father when they first see him. And then, he kind of, once he gets out of that cop mode, people realize, it's, great individuals, really supported me through everything I've done in my career. Obviously, he's happy that I decided to work in sports, being a sports lover. So and he's been able to meet some of his heroes. I remember when I got to introduce him to Willie Mays before Willie had passed away in 2021. And my dad was just...
That's unbelievable.
He told him the story how he used to wait on the corner in San Francisco when he would drive by and run after his Cadillac. And
come on.
And then got to meet him. And Willie was so gracious with his time. We talked to him for about an hour. And so things like that, when you think about when you're in your, when you're in your career, tell me there's little moments like that,
they're big.
When your parents have supported you through so much financially, emotionally, everything. And then you get to go, hey, Dad, why don't you meet Willie Mays? So stuff like that is something I always remember.
So your pop was bigger than life.
Yes.
And tell me about the high school boyfriends that you had to bring home to meet Dad.
Oh, gosh.
How tough was that?
It was not, let's just say my father wasn't thrilled with, some of the guys I dated, because I feel like I was like, oh, the bad boy. You go through that bad boy time where girls like that.
That's funny. So
my dad would just, have his gun when he, at the front door holding that, and that usually scared everyone away. So, and then after that, though, you speak about the men. It was like, for me, it was always like married to my career. I really was never into being that girl who looked at a magazine, like thinking about my wedding or thinking about anything like that. I was really into, at one point I want career focus, and at one point I want to run a team. At one point I want to own a team.
Wow.
Like if God was to say, do you want to have a perfect marriage with the kids and the white picket fence and the dog, or do you want to have own whatever team? Absolutely.
Okay, so because I knew you did pageant work,
you
were doing modeling from a very, very young age. You went on to cheering, and how does that story go? Because you were in high school.
I was. So I was a ballerina with the San Francisco Ballet Company. And then I went and tried out for the Golden State Warriors. I was a senior in high school. So my mom, I don't know what the right word to say without getting in trouble, but yes, and said that I was 18. I was 17. So I was cheering as a senior in high school for the NBA, Golden State Warriors, and Chris Webber, C-Web, he was a rookie, I was a rookie.
Now that's huge.
Which was great because he ended up getting NBA Rookie of the Year, and I got NBA Rookie of the Year for cheerleading.
You did not?
Yeah, for the NBA, and he got it obviously for his accolades. And it was great because no one realized that I was in high school until I said, "Oh, I guess I'm going to miss my senior ball." And everyone goes, "Wait, what?"
That's so wild.
Right.
All right, so you're in high school. Which is insane, but you're in the San Francisco Ballet, which is a huge step.
Yeah.
The folks at the ballet, were they going, you're going to do what with the cheer, huh?
Right, because
was there a whole stigma there?
If you think about the discipline of a ballerina and then going into more of a jazz, hip hop, all of that's
Did
totally
that
different.
freak them out?
Yeah, kind of, but I also did that as well. So they knew that, the ballerina world, I loved it, but it wasn't what I wanted to. I didn't want to be a ballerina forever. So I wanted to go into doing more of the jazz, tap, hip hop, all of that, and performing for me was to be able to dance for your favorite sports team, and then also be there in the best seats in the house. It was kind of a combination of both my loves, so it was a perfect position for me.
For a guy to date Bonnie-Jill in high school with all this ambition had to be you were probably pretty intimidating.
Very much so. Like I said, I was very
not just your dad over there with a shotgun.
I was very just always focused, on.
Did you know what you wanted to do in high school? I mean, you had you wanted to own a team.
I wanted to own a team. I had this conquer the world mentality. You only live once. Wow. And right away I knew, like, as much as I loved dancing professionally for these NBA teams and NFL teams, I also knew, Tommy, that I wanted to work in sports. And I knew that was going to be a great stepping stone. I know some people don't like, people saying that I use that. I loved what I did. Don't get me wrong.
We all do that in life.
A labor of love. I love dancing professionally. However, I knew longevity-wise, and long-term, that I wanted to work in sports and being able to meet, and kind of just learn from, A. DeBartolo, who was the owner of the 49ers at the time, and Carmen Policy, and, Jerry Jones, and all the different people, and just kind of use them as a sponge to kind of learn the business side. And
so did those relationships help you? Do you feel that you said you used them as a sponge? or you were a sponge for what they
Yeah.
were telling you.
Yeah.
How old were you kind of in that period?
How old was I? So I would have been 18, 19, 20 years old.
Wow. And to be able to
Yeah.
understand that, and to be
Right.
able to hang out and have mentors that are older and
Right.
understand how important that is.
Yes.
Did you realize it when you were young, that when you were in that, like, I need to learn, I'm going to be around these folks?
I knew that sports is also a business, so I wanted to learn both sides of it and to learn how winning championships also involves both on the field, off the field, on the court, off the court, whatever it may be, and also the different marketing and how Jerry Jones, whether you like him, love him, hate him, he's a marketing genius, right? And so to learn
Yeah.
that other side and the branding, which branding is so important to all of us now, right, with social media, but what Jerry was able to do and just learn all that. And just like with Eddie Bartolo, the relationship he had with his players and Bill Walsh and all these different people. And then going on to obviously skipping ahead with the Lakers, Dr. Jerry Buss was like a second father to me. So learning from Jerry and Jerry West, the late Jerry West and Magic and all these people, I never take for granted, Tommy, being around these people. I like to learn so much as that they will help me. And
Sure.
because that's how you learn. You learn from the ones who've done it right and who've got that work ethic. And
So many people, though, they go, listen, just getting the chance to work with a Jerry Jones or DeBartolo.
yeah,
Did I pronounce his name?
Yeah.
Right? DeBartolo. Yeah. Is a once in a lifetime thing, right? And
Right.
to take that in. But you, like, had these huge mentors,
right.
I like not just one, but Jerry Buss. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That dude was unbelievable.
Right. And I think a lot of them are just surprised how I was because I wasn't just that. I always wanted to, I knew that I was more than just this cheerleader at the time or just,
right.
I was someone who wanted to be successful in everything I do and just to
And
to
did they
learn
open
and-
up
yeah,
to you? Like,
absolutely.
and want to help?
Yeah, they wanted to help me. They knew how tough it was. Especially now, it's a lot more women in sports that are embraced. When I was doing it, wasn't. It was very
No.
taboo. It was very no women. Some women, when you go a little farther back, weren't even allowed in the press box, so
Yeah.
to speak. So for me, it was just like
How'd
learning.
you make that transition? Like the last gig you were a Cowboys cheerleader.
Yes.
And then how'd you get to the Lakers?
So I was a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader, then I was Miss Dallas Fort Worth, and then I got a role on Baywatch. And so I went to
gosh.
LA and started to live in LA full time. And then Ally McBeal, and if you remember that show. So I was doing the
course.
acting, modeling, all that. But I knew sports was what I wanted to do, what I got my degree in. And so I started working for KCBS, which was the Lakers flagship, doing the pre and post. And I just immersed myself with that, and
You knew that's what you wanted to do.
I knew I wanted to work in sports.
That was a good
And-
next step
Right.
transition for you.
Exactly.
Because
And-
I know so many cheerleaders, right?
of course.
And
Yeah.
and the path is, and I hate to say this, I don't know a lot of them that have gone into business after that.
No. Right.
They get married and have kids, and you're
And that was totally no. If anything, that would have been a distraction or messed up my goal in life.
yeah.
And I'll be honest, there's obviously tons of sacrifices, but I'm happy with the decision I made because if I just would have just been wifed up and had kids, I would not have been happy. I'll tell you that right now. I know that for a
It would
fact.
have been a whole different game.
Yeah, totally different.
So you go out and you're working for CBS KCAL
Yeah.
in Los Angeles. Tell me about that experience. And you worked in the sports side?
Yes, and so I was interviewing all the Lakers players, and
how perfect.
and I loved it. And Phil Jackson, Jerry West, Magic, Dr. Jerry Buss, they all knew that I had an eye for talent, and I would talk to Jerry Buss and Phil
That was a
Jackson.
heyday right there.
Yeah.
I mean, that was
About the triangle offense, and we
Yes.
talked about the ball moving in triangle, and they're like, who's
Come
this
on.
girl? Why is she talking about the triangle? And why does she know so much? And
Yeah.
why does she care? So from there they just said, hey, would you want to just look at some talent for us, just to see. And I really, anything I do 110%. I put everything into it. And even though I wasn't getting paid for that first year and I was still on air broadcasting, I loved it. And they signed me to a 5-year deal. And then I was there for 13 seasons, 5 championships. And then I left when Phil left.
wow. So you were a scout.
Yeah. and then assistant GM.
Were there any
for,
female scouts at that
No,
time?
I was the first female scout in the NBA, and it was tough.
That's unbelievable.
It was really tough because when I would show up to even to go get my credential to go, they would say, "Oh, are you here with the cheerleaders? Are you here?" You know, I was like, "No, I'm a scout," and they, you know, it was. So then,
getting accepted. Now,
it was
just getting. How do you get Jerry West and those guys
for
to
them
buy
to
in?
and for them to accept me. You know, and the Mitch
Yes,
Kupchaks
no.
and the Ronnie Lesters
I
and
mean, how
Magic
did that
and all
even
them.
start? In your interviews, all of a sudden you just behind the scenes, you're talking, you know, the game.
Talking the game, and then Jerry West, I could tell he was kind of skeptical, and then once they figure out, at first it's like,
Because these are players.
yeah, and you're also thinking,
you know,
Tom, they look and they know, oh, this is some cheerleader, a girl on Baywatch, you know, all the different stereotypes, you know,
Right.
connotations, whatever you want to say. They're like, this girl's probably just a attractive girl, pretty girl, but she's that's it.
Yeah.
And then when I start talking the game, and they're like, oh. And so it was more getting past that, if that makes sense, for them to actually see the different layers. So it was really tough, and especially to the point where I would go to the NBA pre-draft camp, and I'd throw my hair up in a cap, and I'd wear big baggy Jordan sweats and try to like look like a little boy. So when I'd walk in, people wouldn't see
Interesting.
the long hair and, you know, all of that. And I remember Brian Shaw, I'm sure you know Brian Shaw.
Yeah.
He was a coach for the Lakers, and he was like, why are you walking like that? Why are you talking like that? And I said, yeah, because I want to be accepted. And he's like, you'll be accepted. It's going to be tough, especially the first couple of years, but once you're able to let people know your knowledge and you put the time in, your credibility will show for itself.
I mean, getting that shot that they gave you was pretty priceless.
Oh, it was huge. It was huge to take a chance on me.
Then to be able to actually earn it.
And stay there.
Now, how hard was that, you know, for everybody else to accept?
Yeah.
Was there a lot of, you know, talking behind the doors and
absolutely.
going?
Boston Globe wrote a smear piece on me
Really?
during the NBA Finals. I did an interview with them, and they wrote a whole, you know, really bad piece on me. And so then I remember getting on the plane, and I was crying, and I was upset. And
I was going to say, I mean, how does
Kobe
that
was
feel?
really a dear friend of mine. So Kobe said to me, BJ, this is exactly what you want. You have them where you want them. He's like, because now you're going to prove them wrong. He goes, you have a chip on your shoulder. And to this day, when Kobe told me that, I live by that. Like, you say I can't, watch me. So I've always been like that, almost maybe too much. But like, I'll prove you wrong. But Kobe telling me that, and he was such a, like, people always talk about the girl dad and the Mamba mentality. He really lived that. That was his truth. He was really supportive of females in sports, you know, his daughters obviously, but he was really supportive of me and Jeannie Buss and all of us females back then when it wasn't considered like trendy. So he was great.
You know, speaking of Jeannie Buss, because tell me about her, you know, because she was a female and she was put in this position.
Yeah.
Right? Did she have the chops for it?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And talking about the time she put in, Jeannie is a workhorse.
Yeah.
And Jeannie, you know, like myself, she wanted to learn everything and learn so much from her father. But she also was like, I don't want to just be the daughter of, you know, of the owner.
Because that's so many people.
Exactly
That's how they pictured her.
Right.
And that's how they wrote about her. And that's the sad
And it's not
part.
true, because they don't realize, like the LA Strings, like he let her take over the tennis team and all the different things that she did. She didn't just get this job with the Lakers. She did so much before that to make sure she knew what she was doing before she got into that. And so I think that was so important for people to realize that just because a woman's in that position, it doesn't mean they do it just because of, you know, certain situations. I mean, I wish there will be a point where women get jobs not because they're a female, but because they deserve it and they've got the talent and the skill to be there. Right. But I learned a lot from Jeannie, and I love that Jeannie was she was supportive with me because she knew, like, you know, Jeannie did Playboy. Like, Jeannie was, you know, she was real. She did what she wanted to do. You know?
I didn't know she did Playboy.
Oh, yeah. And so I remember me coming from this cheerleading background and this and that, you know, and I came to a point, Tommy, where I was like, you know what? I got to be comfortable in being me. I was trying to be someone else so people would accept me. And
Which
then
sucks. Let me just tell you, that just sucks.
You know what I'm talking about when you're just constantly
that.
like having to be someone else, like wear this mask. And then as you get older too, you start to like, I don't give an F what people think about me. Right. But at the time I really did, because I wanted to be accepted by the NBA, by my peers, by the media, by, you know, everyone. And that was really, really tough.
So I'm a guy. I get it because I'm compassionate. I understand your side. and I grew up with 3 sisters
Right.
and a mom, and I saw the paths, right? But I never had to put on that mask.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating to hear from you and the truths that, people saw where you were and judged you for that.
Yeah, and
And
not
which
comfortable
just
in your own
pisses you
skin,
off.
and then you're not comfortable because
Oh
you're
my
trying to be
gosh.
someone else, and you got the TMZs, trying to stop me to ask me things. And you're under a microscope, especially in that position, which
All right, well-
which I knew was coming, but not to the extent,
Yes.
that it was.
So let's talk about the HBO thing about the Lakers.
Yeah,
And I can answer, but I'm not. I'm going to let you tell
Yeah.
me about the truths
right.
of that.
Not a fan.
Yeah.
I don't like the way it depicted Jerry
It sucked.
Buss at all.
Yeah.
I didn't like how they depicted Magic, Chick Hearn, so many different people. Jerry West. Was he passionate? Yeah, but they made him look like he was some crazy lunatic. Like, I know it's Hollywood. I get it. But I think because I was so close to the organization, I don't like how they depicted my friends and people
Well,
that I
Jerry,
was
they
close
Hollywooded
to.
him up
And
to
too
just,
much.
It was like, dude.
Like
didn't-
he's in this room with a bunch of girls and like, I'm going to buy the Lakers today. Like, I don't know. I know they need to make it entertaining, but for people who are not in sports, Tommy,
Yeah.
like ourselves, or in entertainment, they take that at worth. Like
Oh,
they think that is
yes.
really what
That's
happened.
the frustration.
And that's what frustrates me for any of these kind of shows that, have,
Yeah.
especially when it's a scripted show. This wasn't a docuseries. This
That's
wasn't.
right.
So that's what people don't really understand. If you want to know the real history, watch Magic, about, Magic Johnson or, different things on the Lakers dynasties, but not a scripted show.
Yeah. So if there was one thing that was important to you after watching that you wanted people to understand about your friends.
I think the
From the
biggest
Lakers.
thing was, with Jerry Buss,
Yes.
what a visionary he was. What he did, he was the one who combined sports and entertainment. He brought the Laker girls. He brought the USC band. He
Yeah.
brought Showtime, where everything's dark and then the lights on the court. Like
He was the Barnum and Bailey.
Yes, that's
to
a perfect
sports.
example.
Yeah, and
Took a chance on women. He hired me. He was so supportive of women and trailblazing and putting his daughter in that position. So he really was a pioneer, a visionary. What he came from no money. He got into real estate and then, bought the Lakers, bought the Kings. People don't realize he was, owner of the Kings as well. But what
Yeah.
he did, so I think
they made him look really kind of stupid.
They just, and also like he was some playboy.
Yeah, and a
like a
playboy.
Hefner type of, and how smart a man he was. So I actually did not like that show, as you
Yeah.
can tell, because I
Well,
just
because
didn't
you-
like it was depicted.
Yeah, and you watch it, and it was just blind luck.
Yeah,
When
exactly that
this
too.
guy really had the chops, he was very, very smart.
And he was so smart. I mean, Dr. Jerry
didn't know him
Buss. He
anywhere
was
like you
He was
do,
a
but-
doctor of chemistry, but he
Yeah.
was so smart, and everyone loved him. I mean, you want to know why Magic has his business sense, and he'll tell you it's Jerry Buss. Jerry taught Magic everything.
Isn't that amazing?
And he did that with everyone he was around. If you got to be around Jerry, you learned a lot. I mean, I always say that, the reason I have the success I have in the business sense is all from Jerry. So when Jerry passed away, a piece of me died. I mean, he was everything to me.
Yeah. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah.
No, because he was such a mentor. He gave you a shot at something that no woman on the planet would
Right.
have gotten a shot at.
Right. And you know that. I mean, you're around a lot of owners and GMs, and
Oh my
it just.
gosh.
And
The
and by
egos
him
and
taking
bull.
a chance on me could be hindering his worth, if that makes any
Oh,
sense,
for
right? 'Cause
sure.
he's taking
You're
a
a
chance.
direct reflection.
Right.
So
Right.
the decisions you make are going to determine his business
Right.
outcome.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
if you don't know what you're doing,
And he always believed in me. Anytime we would get in a room with men, he'd say, "She'll talk you right out of this building when it comes to football, basketball, baseball." And he actually kind of loved the fact that I was a female that knew my sports. But he's like, "But you look like this, but you know your sports." So he thought it was really funny.
So one of the fun things about being in our industry and have mentors and friends and getting to be put in situations is we kind of go back to the really most important people, and that's our parents.
Right.
And we go, all right, I remember getting to know Dean Martin, right?
Oh, yeah.
And getting to know
Wow.
some of these amazing superstars that I grew up as a kid, and the reason I got
Yeah.
the business, right? And getting on the phone and calling mom and dad and
Yeah.
going, hey, just I want you to meet somebody.
Right.
And that being such a monumental moment for me to be able to give that to my parents, just like you did for your pop.
Right. And it is
And
important.
with Willie Mays. And
Yeah.
he had to be so proud
Oh,
of watching.
absolutely. And he's become such good friends with Michael Irvin and Jerry Rice. And,
my
and
gosh.
it's funny because me and my dad are so close that he comes with me. He's my plus one for a lot of things. So
Love
he
that.
comes with me to everything. And so now they're like, oh, there's Pops. Like they all know my father so well. And him and
Yeah.
Bochi are super tight. And so it's like he's, as much as like he's my father, he's become very close with a lot of these, different
Yeah.
sports figures.
And you couldn't ask for anything better.
No. And they just love, they love having my father around. And so it's funny how that's also kind of, everyone knows my dad now. He's got the, big long mustache and, very intimidating until you get to know him. But
Yes.
for him, I think he loves the fact that I could have quit. I mean, same with you, right? You can be in the
yeah.
industry at a very young age and actually go the other way because you get so jaded by the industry or you're tired of the bullshit, So for me to stay true to it and stick with it, I think my parents were glad, plus all the money they put in. kind of paid off.
When you love something so much and you love to do it, then why do anything else?
Right.
Doesn't matter because you're going to see this
Right.
ebb and flow,
Oh,
right?
always.
Of our industry.
In life as
life,
well,
it
but
doesn't matter.
this, it does make you, I think, ready for any situation, Tommy. You know this. Like you can kind of, when you're in the entertainment or sports industry, there's nothing really phases me anymore. You really can
Yeah.
deal with a lot because you've dealt with the worst and make you feel like crap, that you don't look great or you're too heavy or you need to, whatever it is, especially for women. So I think that it really kind of shapes your character.
Oh, man. It teaches you to be strong.
Oh, yeah.
And we glossed over those difficult times.
Oh, yeah.
We glossed over those times when you probably sat in your apartment going, oh my God, what am I doing?
Oh, I'm done with this. Yeah. Especially
Yeah.
there's just so many times, but I think that's what makes the people who stay in the industry and successful and the ones who don't. Because if you quit in anything, Tommy, it's, then you never saw what you could do, what the potential is. And if you have that grit and tenacity, you're able to, and be resilient. It really makes it that much sweeter when you do succeed in something that you love and that you've worked so hard for.
Yeah. Tell me about when was your toughest time? When did you actually go and contemplate, all right, I want to cut my freaking wrist at this point, or quit. I got to
Right.
do something because, did you have a dark time at
Yes.
all?
I think it really was during, obviously living in Hollywood and being in that world. That was tough, especially in the modeling and acting.
It's not a
there's-
friendly place.
No, luckily I'm not a big partier or I don't drink, so I think that helped me kind of stay on course to my morals and values. But there is a very, very evil dark side in my faith. I'm a Catholic, and so I stay true to that. But as you know, Tommy, we all know the women who go there, and not to say there's anything wrong with them or their character, but they get kind of blinded by the flashy lights and the money and and then they go down a wrong path. I try to just stick to my values and morals and make sure that I didn't get caught up in any of that.
You always had mom, and dad, Irish Catholic pop.
Yeah.
You're going, okay.
Yeah.
But that also adds a lot of pressure.
Oh,
and they know what you want, and
absolutely.
you don't want to go back and let them down. And I've seen so many friends
Yeah.
that just went the wrong path because they were too scared to go home.
Right. And it's their
And
ego and their
face.
pride. And so they
Yes.
stay there.
They
but
sell
now they're
out on
staying there,
things.
Tommy, for the wrong reasons.
That's
You
right.
know what I'm talking about. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's like,
No, it's-
go home and get back to your roots and grounded if you need to. You
Yeah.
know? And so I think that was with me. It's like I always tried to stay true to who I was, grounded. And, there is so much pressure there to
That
be
pressure.
perfect. And I already kind of had that from being in the NBA and NFL world, especially with the Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders, you have to, dance and perform like an athlete and look like a
Yes.
supermodel. And so the pressure there, you already kind of have that, but then it just goes the next level, and standing, line by line, going into different modeling go-sees and them looking at you, picking your body apart completely, and you having to walk out of there, whether, either you got it or you didn't, and be like, okay, do I want to slit my wrist now, or do I want to do it later, or do I, I got to lose weight, so am I going to like make myself throw up, or do you want to like get hooked on cocaine? I mean, I'm being facetious, but it really is like a serious thing, like where you're always doubting yourself, so it's tough.
And then some guy sees you out and goes, hey, I'm a producer and I want you to.
Oh, I had that all the time. You know how many times they would come up to me, but I want to put you in my movie. I'd be like, how do you even know I'm an actress?
Yeah.
They just figure because you're there. And I would actually, kind of play it up and laugh about it. I'm like, no, I'm a college student. I'm going to nursing school. I'm not even an actress. And they'd be like, oh, well, I'll make you a star in my movie. I'm like, oh, you're going to make me a star in your movie with Tom Hanks? You don't even know if I can act? Like, I'm not stupid, but so many girls bite on that, go up to a room with them, go to Vegas.
A million
things
a
happen.
year move out there with the dream.
Right. The dream. And then there's also ones that get put in situations that don't, bad
situation.
with the Me Too situation, all those different things, so it's tough. It's gotten
happened.
so much better now, and there's so many things that have been, come to light in that world, and there's a lot of, bad people who now,
Well, people
trying to do it, but there's still so many out there that have done that stuff to women out there, and it just kind of goes,
it's terrible.
slips under the rug.
And I could imagine that because you went to some levels quickly.
Yeah.
But you fought for them.
Yes.
But I'm sure they were trying to put that label on you.
Oh, absolutely. You know how many times I've read online, and don't ever read online what you about yourself, because that goes down a dark, dark side. But, people saying, oh, she slept her way to this, or she did, all the different things that they say just because you have to be an attractive female in a power position. They automatically think that.
So
and there are
screwed
women
up.
who have done that, unfortunately, have cut corners. So it's like, it's tough because I feel like even today, I've been in the industry, my whole life, and I'm still always having to prove myself constantly. Or maybe that's just me.
Messed
I feel like that. I always have to feel like, I deserve to be here, and let me show you why.
Well, you still look like you're in your 20s.
Oh, thanks.
So, I mean, that's the problem.
Good genes from my mom.
Yes. But the great thing is you got all this knowledge now.
Yeah. And I try to instill that in younger women. I try to help. I have so many friends of mine that I literally, they're young, they're 20-year-olds, and I'm literally trying to tell them what to do, what not to do
important.
in a good, positive way, but just for them to be careful of the roads they can go down. And I always just go back to the same thing, Tommy. The work ethic speaks volumes. And if you put in the work and get there early, be the first one there, the last one out, and show yourself and do your knowledge and be credible, things will happen for you. And obviously, networking does help and knowing the right people, but really work ethic is so important.
And that's where the networking then helps, right? But you have to have that base. That
getting you in the door,
base.
of course. We all know that. You can get yourself into a meeting, but you have to be able to keep those jobs.
Do you think mom and dad instilled that work ethic in you?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Especially because my whole life was just career. And so I was focused just on that. And I always went the extra mile for things. If I met a photographer that I liked, or a talent booker or whoever, and they gave me a job, what do you think I would do? I would write a letter, write a letter and send it to them. Christmas cards. I know that sounds cheesy, but all those things matter, because I had casting directors tell me, you're the only one who ever sent me a handwritten letter to thank them. And that went a long way. So I think stuff like that my parents taught me, I think what made me kind of stand out was different.
I would do that with, even before I got into see the casting director, to the secretaries and people that were always around, right? Or production assistants. Those guys, the production assistants.
The PAs are huge.
They end up being executives.
And I always it's so funny you say, I always tell people that, and Jerry always taught me this too, is you treat the janitor the same way you treat the owner of the company. And I remember treating interns so great. You know why? Do
Yes.
you know how many interns that I know that are now VPs of networks
I'm
now and
telling
studios?
you.
You know that.
Oh,
and they
those
remember the
relationships.
people who are mean to
Of
them.
course.
You know, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden that person's working for the intern now as they moved up the ladder. And so you just have to be kind to like everyone, especially the ones that are, you know, working their way up. And we all know entertainment, sports, it's so tough. So I don't know why everyone tries to battle each other when we have it. It's a tough business.
Man, that was Hollywood. You know, as
Yeah.
an actor, everybody, you're all fighting always for these parts.
Oh yeah.
And we had an interesting group of guys all from Texas.
Yeah.
And for some reason, we all kind of stuck together.
Stuck together because you had your roots
it was
together.
it was very interesting, and some became big stars, and just fascinating. It's a fascinating world, and you've navigated it so well, and you've built
Not
an
always, but I
amazing
tried
career.
my best to navigate
Yeah.
it as best as I could.
What I
you
love
know?
most of all is that you're now mentoring and talking
Yeah,
to kids. And there's a young girl from Dallas they're trying to put her on a reality show,
Yeah,
and
we
I
talked
want
about
to
that.
link you together,
Yeah.
just so you can have a
Because
conversation.
I've done a
with her.
reality show and I know how they depict you and
I talk to her, but
Yeah.
I'm a guy,
right.
and I would love for you to be able to give her that.
Oh, absolutely. I've always tried to help young women in this industry because it's
So-
so tough and things that I wish, because
Yes.
I didn't have anyone to really, you know, I had all the different men that were mentors, but I didn't have really a female that could actually, because, you know, being a scout and different things, there was no one that could really
Nobody.
help me.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of figure it out on my own. And I've learned, you know, through your mistakes, of course, of like, you know, what can help these younger
So are
women.
you open to getting direct messages, DMs
Oh yeah,
on Instagram?
I
to
get
talk
direct
to
messages
girls?
from females, young females, all the time, and I always get back to them.
All right, so how are they going to find you on Instagram? Where they-
Bonnie-Jill
Okay.
at Bonnie-Jill, and you know, and
Let's talk about that,
Yeah.
Bonnie-Jill. Now, how did you get a name like Bonnie-Jill? Because it sounds like you're from South Texas.
I know. So
somewhere.
my dad wanted Bonnie, my mom wanted Jill, and then they just combined the names Bonnie-Jill. And I guess it's kind
love
of my
it.
different personas. If you look at it, it's like my female and my tomboy side. And
Wow.
it's kind of
Okay.
combined.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So we're gonna have to kind of get this thing wrapped up because you've got a busy schedule, and
I
I need to
do.
get you to your next meeting. But you know, the most important thing to me is we rescue dogs, and we
Yes.
have that together. And God, I don't have the photo. It's somewhere.
Oh,
but
yeah,
we'll
it's over
put it
there.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you did the pupathon. We're
I
bringing back the
did.
telethon. You know, I used to do it Betty White. So
Yeah.
we're bringing that back, and you got to do our first one ever. It was so much fun. I got a great photo from it. And maybe
I loved
we can
it.
slip it into this podcast so they can see.
I loved it. It was
See us
so
on
much fun.
stage.
That's why you and I connect, is because, you know, you're saving
Yeah.
dogs, saving lives. And that was always, I was bringing home dogs and, you know, cats, raccoons, you
Yes,
name it. My
yes.
mom and dad I would always bring in stray animals, always trying to nurse animals.
So
I connected with animals better than people. Especially
Yeah.
at a young age, especially when I was in the industry, and some people were just so vile to me and
Because who
horrible.
gets you
so
through those toughest times when you get back to your place?
My
by
animals.
yourself? Yeah.
my animals. It was always my dogs. It was always my horses. It was, you know, the little bird that I saved from their nest. Like that was
I
was
love that.
literally like my animals were everything to me.
We're going to get to talk some more about it too, about your barrel racing and all this
Yeah,
cool
yeah.
stuff with horses. Your foundation, one of the most important things to you. I know, you
Yeah.
know, we talked about that on my other shows on the Peptidon and stuff, and on To the Rescue, right?
Yeah.
So all you do for veterans and
Yeah.
getting service dogs for them, and
Right.
tell me just quickly about that.
Yeah,
So-
that's my passion when it comes to anything with our veterans. My whole family served in, so World War II, my uncle, Silver Star recipient, Purple Heart, and then my uncle, Gunnery, Sergeant Marine. So basically, I did 20 USO tours, 8 to Iraq and Afghanistan, and I saw when our men and women came back from deployments, the government didn't help them with many resources, the VA. And so me having my love for animals, I was like, okay, let's rescue dogs and then train them as service dogs and then pair them up with our heroes, our wounded veterans, and first responders as well. And now we've evolved, and now we have a different mission, equine therapy, with off-the-track thoroughbreds, different rescue horses, and been able
love
to do
that.
equine therapy as well. And we do that for children of fallen soldiers as well. And so for me, it's like our heroes and rescue animals is everything.
They're helping
to
each
me.
other, right?
And yeah, and with the suicide rate being so high for veterans and the euthanasia rate for the dogs in the shelter, I always say it's like you're saving 2 lives.
See, I'm telling you, she's a dynamic woman doing fabulous things. What an amazing interview and so much fun
This is so
we had
fun.
today. And we got to talk more. And so we're going to do some other social media things
We
and
are.
talk and talk about these important things, right? Because the young ladies in our country growing up today with the dreams and social media in your face, we didn't have social media.
Thank God.
Just think if we had that. We had Star Magazine
another
and all
pressure.
these. Yes,
Another
it's
layer
tough.
of pressure, and yeah.
You're doing so much to take care of us and the veterans and first responders and these young girls that need that.
And that's why I
help.
wrote my book. I wrote my book, In a League of Her Own.
Tell them about your book.
Yeah, so it was
real
on
quick.
Amazon bestseller, In a League of
Yay.
Her Own. Yeah, and it was encompassing all the women who paved the way, Tommy, and some of your friends, Nancy Lieberman, and so
Yes.
Danica Patrick, and I had to have Billie Jean King. If I didn't have Billie Jean King, I didn't have a book. So she's my chapter one. But all the different women who have been the first, and some of them didn't, of course, a lot of them, majority of them didn't have social media. So there's young women out there who think, oh, Erin Andrews is the first sideline reporter, and so I had Jane Kennedy, or, and Manon
man.
Rayom, the first woman to play in an NHL game. So I had all the different women who really were the pioneers and the first that maybe people don't know about. And so telling their stories and the sacrifices and all the different things that they went through.
All right, last question. Most important thing that's happened to you in your life?
As in, like what? Like everything?
Career, foundations.
Oh,
What's
God.
changed? What impacted you the most?
Professionally, I think obviously getting through being, a scout for the Lakers and being the first female. But personally, I'd be doing my USO tours overseas and going to Iraq and Afghanistan and
course.
bringing a piece of America to those men and women while they're in a combat zone, and them losing guys and so many different things when you're over there, and just being able to bring break up the monotony of the day for them and bring some goodwill, morale over there. So my USO tours are everything.
Bonnie-Jill, you're a superstar. Thanks so much
Thank
for
you
being
for
part of
having
the show.
me.
Yeah.
Tommy, love you. You're the best. Bye.
Okay. Thank you guys.